evening.
Ah, you're here.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Right.
Happy to be here.
Savvas Vladimirou, High Commissioner Cyprus to Kenya. Let's get right into it and look at this issue that we have here today. So, Cyprus has repeatedly described its northern part as illegal, and yet we have thousands and many Kenyan students who just travel there for studies. And right now, many families with students in that area, particularly Cyprus, are in distress. And what is their option? How do they get out of this distress?
Well, it's a very complicated issue. You know, Turkey invaded Cyprus in 1974, and it occupies, since then, illegally, 36.4% of the island, the northern part. So at some point, the northern part was illegally self-declared itself as the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. There was an announcement, a declaration that it was described as illegal from the UN Security Council. We have relevant UN Security Council resolutions. And no other country except Turkey recognizes the occupied regime. Now, during the years, at the occupied part, we have this industry of educational institutions who are only recognized by Turkey, and they're not recognized by the Republic of Cyprus because the Republic of Cyprus does not have effective control over its occupied territory in the north. So many students, through agencies that their job is to attract students into the occupied part of Cyprus, advertise falsely that, oh, come and study in Cyprus. They neglect mentioning that it's the occupied part, or member of the European Union. They neglect to inform students that if they go to the occupied part via Turkey, because there's no other way, then students will not be able to cross at the free areas. They will not be able to travel to the rest of Europe. So I think it's just a deliberate misinformation of or propaganda of half-truths in order to attract students at the occupied part. And the universities sector is a huge sector for the economy of the illegal authorities in the north. Mm-hmm. And now, in the process, students discover that they have found themselves in this situation, that they are studying in universities who are not recognized by any educational body of the European Union, of the Republic of Cyprus. They cannot travel anywhere. They're promised jobs and a cheap standard of living, which is not the case. And, well, we have this reality.
You've spoken about the awareness that needs to happen. But you see, at the end of the day still, students are enrolling into this. And month in, month out, they are still enrolling. So, and you've also mentioned that some of the universities are unrecognized in that area, and still students continue to go to these universities. So what has the Cyprus government, or what is Cyprus doing in order to warn Kenyan authorities and students as well before they make that choice?
We have an official way of communicating with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here. We have a very good relationship with Kenya and the Kenya Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I have been sending note verbals. These are the official way of communicating between the High Commission and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, creating awareness within the government, the Kenyan government itself. Now, our wish is for the Kenyan government to include a reference in the travel advice in regards to studying abroad that will mention that these universities are not recognized and they're situated in the occupied part of the Republic of Cyprus. So again, that would be a way of protecting these students from going there. But saying that, you have to understand that studying at the occupied part of the Republic of Cyprus is a choice, maybe a conscious choice sometimes, by many students, either from Kenya or from Central Africa, because it's cheaper.
a student who finds themselves in this situation. They are in northern Cyprus and their future is uncertain. What is your message to them?
There is also more to that, because even if a family wants to go and visit their children who are graduating, for example, from the occupied part, they're going to have to go via Turkey, because Turkey has effective control of the occupied part. That means that they cannot enter from the Republic of Cyprus and cross the ceasefire line to the north, and etc. So again, it's more hurdles and more difficulties for the families to even attend the graduation ceremonies of these children. But the Republic of Cyprus does not have any punitive behavior against these students. We're not going to chase these students or punish them because they went to the occupied part or they acquired education in any way. This is not our aim. So that's why we focus on awareness and providing the right information, but no punitive measures whatsoever against anyone, people who are teaching there, students who are studying there, nothing. This is not what we want to do. This is not the message we want to send out. So, again, this is part of my role being here. I arrived here 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago. We reinstated our diplomatic mission in Kenya in order to provide awareness and, of course, explore areas of opportunity, cooperation, and whatever else is possible.
So you mentioned about the diplomatic relationship between Kenya and Cyprus.
Yeah.
And what key areas of cooperation are we looking at in terms of the relationship?
Well, Kenya, believe it or not, is it has a very warm spot in the heart of Cyprus. It goes back to the history between the relationship of your movement against colonialism, Mau Mau movement, and our movement against colonialism, the Oka movement. Mm-hmm. So it was struggles against colonization. So our leader, Archbishop Makarios, was exiled from Cyprus to the Seychelles, and on his way he landed in Kenya, where he met Kenyatta, at the time leader of the struggle against colonialism. And one of the first visits of Archbishop Makarios, when he became our president, when we got our independence, he visited Kenya. And because of the bond and relationship he had with Kenyatta, Archbishop Makarios and our president then, he asked Kenyatta to see if Cyprus could establish a mission here in Kenya. And we established the Technical School of Nairobi. We have established our institutions of the church. We established a Greek Orthodox community that now the numbers, I think, are close to 2 million or more. Mm-hmm. So Kenya has gained this really warm spot in the heart of Cyprus. Right now, our biggest NGO, its main area of activity is Kenya. We have Sophia for Children Foundation that operates orphanages, schools, and programs all over Kenya. Just the other day, I was in the orphanage in Nyeri that they're running. It's called Makarios Children's Home, and there's a Makarios primary school. And we just constructed new facilities for a small medical center, computer center, library, for the children of the orphanage to have a place to study, mm-hmm. and etc. And we also delivered 20 computers for the children. And when you give access to these children who have nothing in the world except this institution to rely on, access to the world through the internet and through education through laptops, you open the world to them, because education for us is the most important thing in the world. Mm-hmm. You know what they say, if you give man a fish, he will eat for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, he will have a secure future for feeding his family and himself.
So trade between Kenya and Cyprus, of course, it's not very high. It's not at the highest peak that it's supposed to be. So when you look at agriculture, tourism, what can be done in order to improve this relationship of trade?
So, well, since we have a small volume, sky's the limit now. More room
Yes.
to build on. But you know, one of the reasons that we re-establish our diplomatic mission in Kenya is because of the huge potential Kenya has. It's the biggest economy in the region. It's a pillar of stability for us, democracy. It shares the same values, and it provides huge opportunities. There's a lot to learn from Kenya in regards, for example, to investments in renewable energy. We as a country, we rely on tourism as our biggest industry, and Kenya has huge potential, I mean, untapped. You have one of the most beautiful countries in the world in regards to natural beauty, natural wonders, the oceans, everything, the people, the culture, the culinary experience. Just the other day, I took a drive, 9.5 hours drive from here to the Tsavo National Park, and it was just beyond any expectation. The experience is just breathtaking. So I want to build on that.
Let's look at how Kenya and Cyprus can just collaborate in the maritime, because we are big on that. And as you've mentioned, of course, the port and everything else when it comes to blue economy. How do you think that the two countries can collaborate in this in order for us at least to even boost training and also how to manage the port?
I don't know if you know, but we are, I think, one of the first 10 positions in merchant shipping in the world. So our economy depends on merchant shipping, on blue economy, on fisheries, and being part of this, of the EU and part of this region of the world in the Eastern Mediterranean on the exit of the Suez Canal, that has given us so many tools that we can work with other countries like Kenya, which is also the gateway to Eastern Africa. Even attract businesses to invest in the port, in the services sector. I mean, the merchant shipping sector especially is about services and how well you can deliver. The faster, the more efficient way to deliver means the faster the goods go and the more money you generate. So it is very important for the two countries to exchange expertise and shared experiences.
All right. Let's look at tourism. In terms of tourism, Cyprus and Kenya, of course, have major tourist destinations. And what are some of the initiatives to boost tourism between the two countries? When we look at things like maybe visa facilitations, and when we look at also direct flights from here to that side, are there initiatives like that?
Well, in regards to direct flights, we don't have the number of people flying to Cyprus, so that's why we use indirect flight connection.
Okay.
I mean, we're a very small island, but our hope is to become a local, regional hub. And what I have seen is that, I know that some people don't like this here in Kenya, but when we privatized our airports, everything changed. The number of tourists coming to the Cyprus exploded. Why? Because when you privatize the airport, the company that runs the airport wants to attract more flights and more people in order to make more money. That allows people to move in big numbers. Cyprus receives officially 4.5 to 5 million tourists a year. I think Kenya receives half of that. Can you imagine the potential?
2.4, 2.5 there.
Yeah, can you imagine the potential? I mean, and we are less than 1 million people. So the potential of Kenya, if companies invest in that sector, is huge.
for visas, because this
Yeah.
is such a huge, when you're traveling, the visa is one of the most important, especially in very many countries.
Yeah,
So-
you know that we are in the EU. Most of the countries are in Schengen. We're entering Schengen also
Schengen. Okay.
in by the end of the year. So yeah, that's a bit tricky. So it's a centralized system basically. So it does not allow each country to have its own system who enters and who doesn't. It's a centralized system that everybody has to be informed. And but at the end of the day, I believe that this is very useful for allowing more tourism without any obstacles. Because if you acquire one Schengen visa from any country of the 27 countries of the EU, then you can travel to Cyprus.
Right. And so finally, when we look at the culture between Cyprus and Kenya, you've been here for 2 years.
Yeah.
When you look at the culture, what is it that we can share? And also, what is it that we can learn from each other?
Oh, when I came here, I was surprised how polite people were, you know, and I found myself thinking that I'm too loud for this country. You know, my voice was a bit.
Okay.
I mean, it's everybody who comes here tells me the same thing. I can't believe how polite and how nice Kenyans are. You know, it's a very good thing to my fellow Cypriots who come here and they tell me this thing, and it comes from everyone, and that's a characteristic of the people and the quality of your culture. And if you're such a welcoming culture, it means that people want to come and be and feeling like home in a friendly environment.
So in Cyprus, does that mean people are not as...
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Yes.
We depend on the tourism industry, first of all. We have this word called philoxenia, which is, in ancient Greece, Zeus was the god of hospitality. So if any guests arrive to your house, it would be a sin if you did not serve him or her and host them, as they will be honorable guests, you know. So, and I think we follow that. I mean, the hospitality sector in Cyprus is just exceptional.
Okay.
From the food industry to the hotels. And that's why we have the numbers of tourism that we have. People really, really enjoy it and they keep coming back. And it's a very important element of any country. But cultural connectiveness, I mean, we share a colonial past, and both of our peoples fought for their freedom, and that's something that marks you forever, you know. We don't have the burden of colonial powers. You don't have the that sin that stains anything that you do or say. So we can talk to our friends in Kenya as friends and brothers that we fought against the same evil that was imposed upon us. And we know what it is like to be an ex-colony with all the bad things that came out of it. And we understand what it takes to move on and remove all the burdens that colonialism had.
When you talk about the colonial past that we share, so Cyprus was colonized by which country?
With the UK, we had the same ruler. Right?
The same ruler. How do we strengthen this cultural things that we have in common going forward, so that for the two countries at least to be, the relation to be even much stronger?
So, since I came here 2 years ago, we now have a fully operational diplomatic mission, and we have promoted a number of bilateral agreements and memorandum of understandings to the Kenyan Minister of Foreign Affairs. So when my president comes and my minister, the idea is for us to sign these agreements. And you always need a foundation, a stepping stone to enhance your relationship with another country. For example, in trade, avoidance of double taxation agreement is very important. Mutual protection of investments. In the political level, memorandum of understanding in regards to political consultations. I have promoted 2 agreements on education and higher education, also on the agricultural sector. So by having that, and if you include our business mission coming to Kenya to explore the possibilities of cooperation, our development assistance through supporting NGOs that operate here in Kenya, our focus on gender empowerment, on education, on scholarships, all of that is the foundation stone of this relationship.
So the president's visit, Cyprus's president's visit to Kenya, tell us more about that. What is it about, and what is the mission to Kenya?
So our president now used to be a colleague, he used to be a diplomat, then he became the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and now he's the president. Mm-hmm. For our president to come here, it will be the completion of that project. For Cyprus to return back to Kenya to do good, to help the orphanages and the primary schools that we have been funding, or our church has been operating, our NGOs have been working. And this is going to be our first visit in Africa in a long time. I think, I don't even remember the last time when we had the Cypriot president in an African country. And Kenya would be our return back to Africa, a continent so close to us, and Kenya, the closest country in Africa in regards to the past, in regards to culture, in regards to cultural and historical significance since the presence of Archbishop and President Makarios here. Mm-hmm. So my idea, when the president comes after the meeting with His Excellency the President and the inauguration of our new offices here in Kenya, to head out to visit the projects that we have been doing in Nieri, in Makarios Home for Children.
And finally, Savvas, what would you want to be remembered for?
Well, when I went to the orphanage 2 weeks ago, and we dropped off the laptops for the children for the new area of libraries and doctors and nurses, the pharmacy and etc. A small kid had this little banner and he said, "Thank you, Savvas." So if one kid remembers me from that orphanage, it's good enough.
Okay. Savvas Vladimirou, High Commissioner from Cyprus to Kenya, thank you so much for joining us on The Deep Dive.